this week's episode. We got number 5.
Numero 5.
Welcome aboard. This week we're talking about the benefits of a consultant versus an employee.
I'm one of your hosts, Cameron.
And I'm Rylan. Alright, let's jump right in. So the first one is pride of accomplishments. Contractors or consultants feel a sense of accomplishment versus like an employee, they're paid hourly. So they're just there to show up, clock in, and clock out.
Exactly. No, I completely agree. I feel like consultants want to take pride in what they're doing. They're showcasing it to other people. They're utilizing it for their benefits to help the next client they want, to show them, hey, we have value in what we're bringing.
100% Cam, nailed it right on the little head. So that's the big thing, is that I remember, and even if you get someone that's all jazzed, you know those employees that come in and they're like, oh boy, I'm ready to work, sir. You know?
Right,
and they're all pumped. They're like, yeah, let's do this, let's kill everything, blah, blah, blah.
And then
after 2 weeks, then they're like, oh, I hate this job. Maybe not 2 weeks, but like 2 months.
I was like, 2 weeks is pretty quick.
Pretty quick. You're doing
probably
something wrong.
You probably shouldn't have got the job.
Probably should not, at all. But that's the biggest thing, is that the consultants, and we'll get into the costs and everything of it next, but the consultants are going to have like more pride in their work because their reputation's on the line. Point blank.
Absolutely.
Boom. Anything else to add to that?
No, I mean, I think that's it. I mean, again, we just want to bring to light that consultants are a great thing, and having a consultant could be a huge impact to what you're trying to accomplish.
Yes, Cam. Side note, I was just thinking, brain blast over here. I was just thinking that it's always interesting in terms of, I find that the diversity of a consultant is great because you can get an expert in every single category in the world. Like, there's even some weird experts, like we were looking online. There's lactation experts.
Right.
That's, you know what I mean?
And
weird
they consult
things.
On that.
They're lactation consultants. That's a weird thing that came to my mind because you looked it up. But
yeah, I couldn't believe it.
But that's just weird, right?
Right.
Like, my point is like, the next kind of thing is you incur a lot of cost with an employee, and we'll get into the numbers, but the next one is you incur no overhead costs when you have a consultant. So I got a bunch of notes here. Yeah. You don't pay for workspace, phone, health insurance. That includes also 401ks, all of that stuff. Their salary for the whole year, their benefits. Also, if you have companies like to keep a good culture, so they have barbecues or they have XYZ. Those are usually paid for by the company.
Right.
They have company parties. I know we went to a few parties.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So vacation time, softwares for them, like if you have Salesforce, that's super expensive, right? All of these things add up, and for example, I got an example here for you. You're really paying them, if you're paying them $60K a year salary, you're really paying them $120,000 a year when you add in all the benefits. Now this is like pretty generalized in that sense, because some companies you'll make more commission, more benefits, so it could even be worse than
more
this.
Bonuses. Yeah, exactly.
But that's the generalized kind of rule of thumb, is that it's usually double whatever you're really paying them.
Exactly. It's about double, and I think it's crazy to think that sometimes people hire these employees hoping everything's going to go for the best, and they spend 6 months there, or they spend a year at that company, and you pay for the training for them, you pay for their workspace, you're paying for potential things for like making sure that the HR policies are good, so you've created new policies, written all these things out that you had an attorney potentially look at, and these are all the hidden fees that you don't think about when hiring an employee. When if you're paying a consultant $60,000, it's $60,000. There is no extra on top of that, right? You're not paying for the taxes on top of that. You're paying $60,000. That's what you're paying them, and then from there you can use that money, for the consultant to be fruitful with, and they pay for their things such as their internet at home, or if they're traveling, they're using their own computer, their own money with what you've paid them. They're $60,000. That's where they're using it, and so they'll figure out how to make things work. And so I think this is a good point, because a lot of companies hire people thinking they want an employee when in reality they don't need an employee. They need a consultant to get better to what they want to do.
Not only that, Cam, you were saying something that kind of stood out too. You have to hire someone or take time out of your manager's day, your sales manager's day, or whoever, to train them too. So not only are you paying them $60K just to be there to, not $60K in all, but I'm just saying that 2 week or 3 week salary.
Right.
So a whole month of $60K, that's $5,000 a month. you're paying them roughly or just shy of $5,000 plus the trainer's time to train them. You know what I
Exactly,
mean?
right. And I think that goes into the next one, which is...
The next one is that, we can go to that one, sure, I see where you're going. Accidentally hire the wrong person. So if you basically then you waste time training them, going through the motions. So not only are you doubling up trainer's time, employees' time, but what happens if you're a month in or 2 months in and then you're like, oh crap, we hired Billy and he's not Billy worthy.
Right,
You know what I
he
mean?
wrote on his resume he could do all these things, and there's no proving things to show for it. Like, for instance, like, again, a consultant will go in there and be like, hey, here's the different things that I've done. Here's the experience that I have. Here's some of the case studies that I've created. When an employee comes in, here's my resume, and they tell you all these things and give you a few references. A consultant can give you tons. Be like, hey, here's some of the people that I've worked for as a regular employee. Here's some of the people I've worked with as a consultant. Here's some of the projects I've done. And so then it's like, wow, I can actually see everything that's going on with an employee. You're just going off what they say, right? In their resume.
Yeah, and their resume could be completely made up, to be honest with you. Like,
100%.
did you know that there's a lot, like, for example, if I was to say, I am the vice president of Coca-Cola.
Okay.
So, and I go and apply for another job and say I'm the current vice president of Coca-Cola. They can go online and try to research. That's probably a bad example because it's such a big company.
Right.
But my point is that the next employer can't call Coca-Cola and say, blah, 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 is Rylan, working there, whatever. So whoever your current role is, they can't. So you can lie about a lot of things, is what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
So it's kind of something that you just want to be able to make sure that you have your facts right on, right?
Mm-hmm.
The next one, then the final one, consultants already have the expertise. So that's why you're hiring them, to consult on a specific matter that requires an expert level of thinking, right?
Absolutely. So I feel like, again, it's nothing against anyone getting out of college, but say somebody gets a degree in business administration. So, and then you give them a position in a marketing position, sales position, you give them, I don't know, administrative roles, anything. They're a generalist because they haven't gone into the field and done anything,
Right.
while a consultant is a specialist.
Right.
So they're specialized, like the specialist, the consultant that you're hiring is like, oh, I'm great at this. This is what I have done. When somebody who's just coming out, or maybe they've worked 5 years at a company in one position and they're applying for a different position that they've never done before, again, you're hoping that that person's going to root themselves into your business, and that's where you have to have good company culture because that's hard to create, right?
Right.
Like you were saying, having those parties, which cost extra money. When a consultant, they're happy. They're doing exactly what they want to do. They're doing the best at what they want to do so that they can be successful.
Right. And a lot of times, real world experience, I've noticed, like, I don't really think school's great and whatever. If you're a doctor, a lawyer, like, you need it required to go, that's awesome. But you know how many people I meet that I've actually worked with that are like, hey, I just got out of school for marketing, and I know way more than them. And I'm like, I didn't go to school for marketing or anything, right? So my point is that real world experience is a lot more valuable, in my opinion, than going to school. Because going to school is great, and like it's awesome. There's a good structure that you meet. It's all about who you meet and who you know in the world, so that's awesome. But in terms of real life experience, like think about it. You have a professor that's been teaching for 20 years. How do you know that professor is staying up to date, innovating in the way that he teaches and whatnot? Where, I mean, unless you're going to a school like Harvard or somewhere that like it's well renowned for
specifically
that. But it's like real world experience, especially in marketing. Everything's always changing. They have tons of Google updates every year. How is a professor of 20 years going to know, unless he's going and researching every single...
Which would be an awesome professor, and they're out there.
Right, and they are out there, absolutely. But it's definitely far and few between in the sense of if you go to like a UVU in Orem, the professor there is not going to be like...
They're going to be a little bit behind on what's actually happening. They're going to be a few years behind, not necessarily like 20 years behind,
right.
Maybe even
in the internet space, 1 year is a huge deal.
Absolutely, absolutely. So when it comes to concluding for this, don't we agree that, I mean, when it comes to it, consultants are extremely beneficial, and they have a lot of benefits and pros to what a consultant can do for you, and why there's some negative things that can go around hiring just an employee for certain jobs.
Right. And I think that's why, Cam, we wanted to do this, and that's why we are doing it, is because, and I know you've done this similar roles too, but I've been the salesperson or the person that gets hired or whatever, and they usually also in jobs that are in marketing and how to develop, how to get new leads, anything in developing your business, that side of things really kind of just changes very quickly in the sense of the average sales job is 2 years across the board. Like, you're not even going to keep an employee in the sales game for more than 2 years, most likely. You get your people, type of people, like 1 out of 100 that stays for 5 years or whatever.
Right.
But I'm talking generalizing it. This is something where you can have confidence of, okay, this person I have for this. You got a guy for everything. Oh, just call the guy. I got the guy, right? So that's what we would say is just like, that's why we want to start this, is because we have a vast expertise in marketing and consulting in a lot of different areas. But it's a lot more beneficial, we feel, right? So
Absolutely.
that's kind of the biggest thing.
100%.
Well, let us know what you guys think. I mean, like, share, comment on what you guys think.
Subscribe.
Subscribe. Keeps the wheels going, right? And we sure love doing these little episodes. They're sure as heck fun, and we always talk about it. So we'll come out with another one here shortly, guys. Thanks for joining us this week on Benefits of Business.